It seems that in 1936, Cuba has no notable naval forces. Well, it's time to fix that. Hello and welcome to another HOI4 modding lesson on the Iron Workshop. In this lesson, we're going to be completing the unit creation in HOI4, and we'll be learning how to create a new navy. Now, navies have gone through quite a change in Mend the Guns, and we'll be focusing on creating navies with games that include Mend the Guns, the Mend the Guns DLC. Okay, so let's get to it. We'll start with the regular stuff. We'll be creating our mod file. So we'll go to mods, mod tools, create mod. We'll just call it the naval mod. Naval mod. Obviously, you can call it whatever you like. It doesn't really matter. Create mod, and step 1 is complete. Excellent. Now we'll move on to step 2, creating our folder and file structure. All right, let's create our mod folder and file structure. It'll be quite similar to what we do when we're creating the various units. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So this is our mod folder, and this is our mod file. We'll be opening the vanilla game folder as well, located in Steam, Steam Apps, Common, HOI4. And now let's create the folders that we need. So we will be requiring the history folder. And inside of that, we'll be requiring the unit folder and the countries folder. Excellent. Now, as we did with the creating armies lesson, we'll be editing Cuba. So I'll be taking the Cuba country file and copying it over to my mod. And we'll be taking the Cuba order of battle file and copying it over as well. All right, now it's important to note that you will probably notice that there are a lot of files here that are Navy specific files. There are the legacy files and the Mend the Guns files. Now this is done to increase compatibility since the naval changes changed how the texts work. But since we are creating navies with games that are working with Mend the Guns, we will not need separate files and we will just have everything in our single Cuba OOB file. So these are all the files that we need. Let's proceed to step number 3, which is creating or editing our order of battle file. Okay, so let's open our Cuba order of battle file. And in here, as we have seen at the beginning, there are no notable naval forces, but let's change that significantly. Now, the best way to edit or add these things is to copy stuff from the vanilla game, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I will go to history, units, and I will be actually using the United States files as a template for the syntax of our naval units. So let's just open this file, USA 1936 Naval MTG, and I'll be just copying this first section that begins with fleet, task force, and ends here. So let's just copy all of this. This is a task force. And we'll just paste it in here. And of course, we want to close these brackets so that we don't get any weird errors. Excellent. So we now have our battle force. You can obviously play around with the names. I will not spend too much time on this. It doesn't really matter. And now we need to put the location of our fleet. So the location is our naval base. In this case, it's San Diego, but obviously we don't want it in San Diego. We want it in Cuba. So one way to locate the proper province is to go into the game, start it in debug mode, go to the nudge tool, and just locate the province. I'm actually going to do something a bit simpler. So I'm going to open the HOI4 history states folder. And in here, I'm going to locate the Cuba state. And when we open it, we see that our naval base is located in this province. So I'm just going to copy this province over here and make sure that my ships are located in here. Now, the reason that we have two locations, we have the naval base and the location, is because this is their home base, right? So this is where the ships will return in case they need to return home. And this is where the ships are actually located. So obviously you can put them out to sea, patrolling the seas, but in this case, I want them to be at home in their naval base. Now, again, you can change the names. I will not bother with that. I am, however, going to reduce the size of this task force since it's a bit too big for Cuba, and there's no way that Cuba will have enough fuel for all of these ships. So I will just remove some of these here. Excellent. And now we will need to go over some of these things to understand what they mean. So this is just a comment. It doesn't really matter. The game ignores this because it begins with these hashtags. Next, we have the ship itself. So this is one of the ships that are included in the task force. This is the name of the ship. This is the definition of it. So what unit it is, right? We have units and we have equipment. So this is the unit. In this case, it's a battleship. We can change it to be a submarine or a cruiser or a destroyer, whatever you want it to be. In this case, I'll leave it as it is. This is the starting experience of this ship. So we can have them fully experienced. So let's just go ahead and do this. Cuba is going to have a very experienced navy. This is the equipment that builds up these ships. So in this case, ship hull heavy 1. This is the amount. This is the owner. So obviously we want the owner to be Cuba. So I'm going to change Cuba in all of these. And this is the version name, Pennsylvania class. Now, Pennsylvania class belongs exclusively to the United States. So we are going to have to create our own class so that the game knows that this is a Cuban class ship, right? Okay, so we're going to change this in a moment. I changed it to Cuba by accident in here. It should be the country tag, right? 3 letters, not the name of the country. Okay, so we're basically done here, but I do want to change the version name right now. So we'll just change it to something like Havana class, okay, just to have it unique. Now, it is possible for you to keep the class of another country, but you will still need to create the class in this specific country. So for example, Cuba could have Pennsylvania class ships, but it will need to have its own Pennsylvania class ships as well, variant created in its country history file. Okay, so we're basically done in here. Now we are going to have to go to step number 4, which is creating our unit variant. Okay, so we've finished editing our OOB file, and now we need to create unit variants. Now, the reason we need to create variants is because they're critical for the game to know exactly which ships to put in the game for your country. If you do not create variants, it is quite possible that you will experience a crash. So for example, I started the game now, right? I do have the fleet and the ships showing up in here, so everything seems fine. But you will notice that once I click it, the game crashes. And that is because I do not have a variant created. So let's go ahead and fix that and create our variant. So we will need our OOB file. We will also need to open our history file. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll open the Cuba in this case, or the other country that you might be working on, history file. And in here, we'll need to put our variant. Now, again, just as we did with the OOB file, the best way to do this is to just copy existing code from the vanilla game and change it around a little bit. So we'll go to HOI4, we'll go to history, countries, and I'm again going to copy something from the United States. Let's just open this file. Now it's best to copy code which is similar to what you created. So in our Cuba OOB file, we've created battleships that are using ship hull heavy 1. So I'll be searching for that. But if you don't have anything specific like this, of course you can just copy something which is close enough and then just change it. So in here we see that we have create equipment variant, that is the syntax that we need, and there's a whole bunch of code in here, about a whole bunch of syntax. So I'm going to copy this, I'm going to move it over to my Cuba history file and put it right below the text. Now I'm going to just select it and change the indentation of this text so that it fits like this. Very good. And now let's just change some stuff around here so we can remove this comment. The name is quite critical because it has to match the version name that you've assigned here. So if in here in version name it's Havana class, your variant also has to be Havana class. So we'll change the name to Havana class. The type obviously also has to correspond to your equipment in here. So that's fine. The name group, you can either create your own or you can remove this one. It doesn't really matter. The parent version, you can also keep it at 0. And these are the modules. So the modules, I will not be including any of these right now. The game will put the essential modules on the ships automatically. But obviously, if you want your variant to have specific modules that are available in the game, you can put them in here. The best way to find these modules is to just hit Ctrl F, search in files, search for the module that you want, and you can find it in the vanilla folder, in common, units, equipment, modules. And here you have the ship modules, so you can just copy stuff from here. So as I said, right now I'm not really going to bother with these modules. We'll be just removing them. And I don't really want it to be obsolete. So we'll remove that as well. And we can save it. So that is it. We have our Havana class ships ready. And now let's test it in the game and see if it works. All right, so we're in the game. Let's click our Navy. As you can see now, we no longer get a crash. As you can see, they're veterans. And if we click on these ships, we have their stats. So that is it. That is all you need to know about creating navies. Creating submarines is the same process. There's really not much of a difference. It's only changes in the equipment. So that is it for the creating new navies lesson. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. The algorithm and me will be very happy. Here are more videos I make. If you like my stuff, consider subscribing to be notified when new content is available. The Iron Workshop lives and thrives thanks to the continued support of my Patreons. If you're willing and able, you can support me on Patreon for just $1 and get access to exclusive and early content. See you around.